Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So, in this video, I'm going to have a look at this new marketplace. This is from the game Star Atlas. So, Star Atlas is a sort of in development, massively sort of multiplayer online space game. I did a podcast with the CEO about a month or so ago. So it's one of these sort of big games, sort of lots of ambition, lots of moving parts. One of the interesting things they've been doing is they've been doing sort of artwork NFT drops. So they've had some pretty kind of valuable drops of this kind of artwork, and they've just released this this marketplace, or I've just noticed this marketplace. And while I think the user experience is not great, I think there is some interesting stuff going on here. So I thought a quick video was in order. So these are all kind of artworks you can see here. These are all sort of NFTs. And if we click on one to go to the DEX marketplace, we can see what's going to happen. It's going to take a time to load. So here we can see the thing we've got, which obviously is a typical sort of NFT. We can see here there's a whole bunch of details around it. This is what I want to get to. It's kind of annoying. You have to click through all these things. So this is what's interesting about this. So this, when we look at this, is this. If you ever used a centralized exchange, or even some decentralized exchanges, this is like an order book. So an order book is basically people put in bids for things. So if it's a token, a fungible token, obviously if it's like a Bitcoin or 1 ETH or whatever kind of fraction of that there is, basically people say, I'm prepared to sell at this price, and people say, I'm prepared to buy at this price, and there's a sort of gap in the middle, and the thing moves up and down depending on supply and demand. And they've obviously built here, a similar concept for NFTs. So NFTs really at this point have sort of been sold in sort of two different ways. It's either been like a buy now price, so I go, I've got a CryptoPunk, I want to sell it at this price, and it sort of sits there until someone comes in and buys it. You can have offers sort of coming in. So often you see on OpenSea, you see this is sort of the price that I'll sell it at, and these are sort of some bids that have come in. So we've sort of seen this sort of to some degree. So the concept isn't new, but the way this is presented, I think, is makes it sort of much clearer of what's coming in here. So we can see here. I mean, the bad example about this is you can see sort of the gap between what's going on here is massive, and this is sort of I guess this is something that is kind of common in something like these are not massively traded items. This is a relatively an obscure game with lots of these NFTs, and there's not a massive kind of community of people trading these. So at the moment you have people who want to sell them for $15,000. Effectively, this is the stable coin USDC. So this is $15,000, and the people who want to buy them for $300. so there's not a lot of compromise in the middle here. But you can kind of start to see this is quite interesting. That if you did have sort of one that you wanted to buy, you did have one you wanted to sell, you could sort of come in immediately here and sort of take this price. So if you had one and you want to sell it for $300, you could come in and take this price already because it's sort of embedded in there. I guess that's how it's working. Not having owned any of these NFTs, I can't sort of tell. But I think this is sort of an interesting way of presenting this sort of stuff, because at the moment NFTs, they can be fairly liquid. If it's something like a CryptoPunk, if you put a CryptoPunk in for a lower price than the kind of current lowest price, you'll probably sell it. I mean, that's sort of the dynamic we have with NFTs. You could just leave it in there and hope the sort of floor gets bought up, which obviously happens over time. But if you wanted to go, right, I want to sell a CryptoPunk today, I need the money for some reason, there's no dedicated mechanic of doing that. You just have to price it against what's already in the market, and that sort of is bad because you are you're sort of conceptually you're driving the price down. So the only way to sell is to drop the price, and that drops the price of everything, all other things being equal. Obviously with a token it's much simpler. If I have a Bitcoin, I want to sell it, I can always sell a Bitcoin because there's liquidity in the market. Obviously it's fungible, it's not non-fungible, and so you can there's always an offer of, I will buy a Bitcoin at this value, and there's a little bit of spread, I suppose, but not really very much. And I think for NFTs, whether it's good or bad, what's definitely going to come is this sort of process where you sort of have a bid and an ask order kind of set up already. For the NFTs, I guess compared to fungible tokens, you'll always have a big what they call spread, so the gap between what the buy and what the sell is. that will always be bigger than on a non-fungible token, unless it's a very liquid token, like I say, like a CryptoPunk or maybe like a certain Axie or something like that. But I think this is interesting, more how this is presented, which is the first time I'd sort of seen it in this way. So as I say, OpenSea does have a sort of similar system of sort of bids and offers, but it's not the user experience, the UX is not nice, to put it mildly. I do think we'll kind of see more of this sort of stuff happening. It's interesting as other developers are going down to other kind of ways of doing things where you wouldn't necessarily, because at the moment most NFTs are obviously unique, and a lot of that's driven sort of by serial numbers. You'd have one basic NFT and then multiple serial numbers. But with ERC 1155, you can have multiple versions with sort of the same serial number. They're just multiple sort of copies of that, which obviously allows people to do this sort of order book kind of selling in a much easier fashion. So anyway, a little bit obscure, but I do kind of think this is sort of interesting around sort of how the NFT ecosystem sort of develops, and how you sort of building good marketplaces around that, and that often means price visibility. So people knowing what the because obviously there's always a compromise between this. Someone who owns something always wants to sell it at the highest price, and people who want to buy it always want to buy it at the lowest price. But having visibility, having transparency around this allows people to make much better choices. And obviously there's always a compromise. Someone wants to sell, someone wants to buy. You have to kind of come to some sort of negotiated kind of agreement around that. But having this stuff in a much better presented way, I think allows that visibility, allows that transparency to come together. And so, we can kind of see here, the person who wants to sell it is not going to sell it. But maybe if they drop that down to 500, suddenly you kind of see, well, we can kind of see roughly where the bids are here. So anyway, a short, rather obscure video, but I think it's important to think about these things. I mean, blockchain is very much about how sort of value is transferred between different parties, and sort of the way we do that with sort of exchanges and auction houses and marketplaces is very important to think about. So anyway, that was all I had for today. Please keep subscribing to the channel, keep watching the videos. Thanks for watching this one, and see you again soon.